Hey everyone, Bill Curtis and Bryan Pace. We're here today. We want to talk about corporations and limited liability companies that are set up to operate and sort of live outside the state where you live. In fact, we've heard a lot about this whole idea of Delaware corporations, Nevada corporations, and we want to talk about why, based on our experience, that's really a bad idea. So my name is Bill Curtis. I'm here in the Rocky Mountains. I'd like to introduce you to Bryan Pace. We've been business partners for about 12 years, and he's out in Kansas City. Hi, Bryan.
How you doing, Bill?
Fantastic.
That's good.
So, Bryan, you've lived. For most of our partnership, you've lived in another state. You've been in Ohio for much of that. You've been in Kansas for a lot of that. But maybe you could speak from experience and tell us what happens when your corporation or your limited liability company lives in one state, and what happens, what that means for the business owner or the shareholder who happens to live in another state.
Well, one of the challenges that you run into has to do with taxation, and probably if you look back at the history of why a Delaware corporation or a Nevada corporation was made sense, is that there were some tax benefits, as well as the states, those particular states, not sharing information about you or your company with the federal government. Although I think probably over time the states got wise in how they handle those types of things, especially from a tax side of it. And so basically what you end up having to do is pay an additional tax from not living in the state that you register and are claiming you're running your business from. And so that's one of the challenges that at least I've had to deal with, because most of our organizations have been in states registered and licensed in states other than Ohio or Kansas.
Got it. Okay. Looks like we're getting just a little bit of video lag there. But so a little more, I guess, more to the point. So let's say, for example, that the company makes $10,000 in net profit. We're 50-50 shareholders, so you're going to get a K-1 for $5,000 that shows you have, that you made $5,000. You're going to have to claim that on your taxes. Now, the state where the company is organized, they're not going to charge you taxes because it's a pass-through entity, right? In most cases. But what happens when that money hits your tax return? Tell us more specifically about how your state looks upon the fact that you're receiving money from a corporation that sort of lives in another state that you're a shareholder of.
So basically, and again, I'm not a CPA, Bill, so don't put me on a CPA stool and ask me these kind of questions. But in reality, this is what I understand over the years as we've worked through this challenge, at least as I've worked through it. Basically, you have to designate what dollars were generated where. And so if I'm working in the state of Kansas, but there are business transactions in the state of Utah, I have to declare what dollars, if you talk about $10,000 K-1, $5,000 I received, did I earn all of that $5,000 in Kansas? Or did a part of that get earned or generated in Utah and then transferred to me as a resident of Kansas? And so once you designate those, and let's just say half of it, 2,500 of it, I'm saying, hey, was generated in Utah. Well, there's a Utah tax that's going to be paid, plus a Kansas income tax. And then conversely, if I'm saying $2,500 I earned it here in Kansas, I'm going to declare that on my taxes as $2,500 earned here in Kansas and received here in Kansas. It adds a layer of complexity really to the whole accounting side of things. You get charged more from your CPA to work through these challenges, and ultimately, if you're not careful, you can get taxed more than you should because you're registered or you're licensed in a state other than where you live.
Got it. So can you think of some examples of when it would be good to have a Delaware corporation or a Nevada corporation? Because as I've thought through this and as I've talked to different CPAs and different people that do taxes for a living, we've always scratched our heads and said, why is this such a big deal? Why are so many people being convinced to set up these Nevada and these Delaware corporations? Can you think of any instances where that would be good, where if you have this type of business or maybe this type of corporation, where it would be good to have a Delaware or a Nevada corporation?
So just off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that I would be doing that would be advantageous, unless it was something illegal, unless I set up a company that maybe I didn't want the federal government to know about. I don't know. I can't think of a reason why I would want to go out and set up a company intentionally in a state that I'm not going to be conducting business in. And I think that's probably why the state's wised up as to allocating income as to where it's generated, where's the business activity being conducted. And so I can't think of any reason why you would want to set up one of those types of corporations in today's environment.
Okay, cool. And so I guess the one that I was thinking of is, most small businesses, I mean, an S corporation or a limited liability company are going to be the very best structure. In fact, a limited liability company is what I would recommend, just for the ease of operating it. You don't need to have your board meetings. You don't even need to have a board for that matter. You don't need to have minutes and a corporate book and all the different requirements that are there. And so I really think a limited liability company is the best way to go. And a limited liability company and an S corporation, those are both pass-through entities. If someone wanted to create like a C corporation, maybe a C corporation would live well in like a Nevada or a Delaware. But even so, they're subject to double taxation if you put the money in there and you never take it out. It's just weird. For most small businesses, I think it's just better to have your business live sort of where you live and where you're going to do most of the business. Maybe you could talk about, if you have a comment on that, go ahead, and then maybe you could talk about registered agent and what the Delaware corporation and the Nevada corporation means in terms of the registered agent.
Yeah. So let's not that I'm trying to put you on the spot here, Bill, but you say maybe a C corporation makes sense in a Nevada or a Delaware situation. Explain. I don't see why not set up that C corporation in the state that you're currently living in. What's the problem?
That's a really good question. And again, I was just trying to think outside the box, like why would people do that? But I can tell you that I've had one C corporation in my days of being an entrepreneur. And it was because it was a trading company. I put a chunk of money into this company, and I actively traded stocks and options. And my intention was to never take the money out of that company, and I wasn't going to take a salary, and so that money was going to grow inside that C corporation, and the company would pay a tax on it, but there wouldn't be any other taxes as far as payroll or anything else coming out of the company or dividends or anything like that. So, I honestly can't think of why you would want to have a Delaware or a Nevada corporation. I think it does add a huge level of complexity. And again, for I would say, dare say 99% of the people, just set the corporation up where you live and where you're going to do business. But maybe you could talk about the registered agent part of it.
Yeah, sounds good. So real quick back on your C corporation. Maybe if you're doing insider trading, maybe you have to. I'm just kidding. So from the registered agent, that is actually one of the challenges. The states want to know who the resident is that they can serve papers on, legal documents, notices to, and so if you aren't living in that state, you have to find someone or a company to act as your registered agent to satisfy the state's requirement of having someone local within their state to be able to serve those papers too. So that's really another reason why it doesn't make a lot of sense to look outside of where you're going to be conducting business or where you're living. Clearly, if you're conducting business in another state and you can set up yourself as a registered agent in that location that you're going to be conducting business, even if you don't live there, and satisfy the requirements that the state has of having a local representative there of your company.
Cool. So let me ask you this question. Who can be a registered agent? You have to have some sort of special certification. And if you do decide to go ahead and set up, a Delaware or a Nevada corporation, what are your options to hire a registered agent?
Yep. So no qualifications. There's not a certification you have to be a registered agent. It basically is just anybody living within the state lines that can be served papers or documents for your company. They don't even have to be a member of your organization or connected to your organization really at all. They just have to say, yes, I'm willing to be your registered agent. And so to your question about who can be a registered agent for you in a Delaware corporation or a Nevada corporation, there's companies that get set up that are specifically for that reason. They charge you an annual fee to be that registered agent. But really, another reason why you probably don't need a Nevada corporation or a Delaware corporation, because you got to pay somebody an additional fee to act as your registered agent. And it can be an individual, or it actually can be a company as well. It just needs to be someone residing or some entity residing inside the state.
Got it. So for our company, I'm the registered agent. So you can be you, right? I mean, as a small business owner, you can be the registered agent, and you just have to live in the state where your company is registered. So again, our advice would be set your company up in the state where you live and where you do most of your business, and become the registered agent for yourself. A lot of these companies use this registered agency as a huge profit center. They're making boatloads of money charging people to be a registered agent. So maybe that's why there's so much effort to get people to sign up for a Delaware and a Nevada corporation, because they make a lot of extra money, right? Are you hearing me there?
I think you're right. I think you're right. And actually, I heard just recently that one of these companies that forms businesses for entrepreneurs, if you want to be your own registered agent, they charge you for that. And I thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. They're going to charge me to be the registered agent, but if I want to be my own, there's another fee associated with it. It didn't make any sense to me. And so just be aware, I guess, whoever is going to be signing up or setting up a company, be aware that those are some of the pitfalls of formation services out there. Is there, check the facts, find out how it really is, and by all means, make sure that your understanding is clear as you move forward.
Awesome. Good advice. So in the couple of minutes that we have left, maybe you could talk about Omni Thrive and what makes Omni Thrive unique compared to some of these other companies that organize LLCs and create S corporations, things like that.
Yeah, sounds good. So the core of what we do here at Omni Thrive is really accelerating people's path to business ownership. That's our passion. That's our goal. Formation services or setting up someone's company can be one step in that process, but we don't look at that as such a significant profit center that we're looking to nickel and dime everybody through that process. And so maybe that's, if I can pitch Omni Thrive's formation services, that would be why, is small fee, no hidden fees. Basically, we're trying to help you through the process of getting to business ownership. Very transparent. You'll know exactly what we're doing, when we're doing it, the fees associated with it right up front, so that it's not tacked on at the back end. Or if you, and we're going to encourage you to be your own registered agent. If you want to be that, we're not going to charge you a fee for it. But Omni Thrive really lives to help people realize their dream of business ownership. Formation services being one of those components, but again, not such a significant profit center that we're looking to nickel and dime everybody through that process, like some of these other formation and service companies are out there.
Awesome. And so just to add on to that, I think it's really that we're not just about setting people up in an LLC and then just sort of kicking them out of the nest and saying, okay, good luck and God bless, right? We're more about the planning and the formation and the growing after the fact. We want to really be there every step of the way to turn your business idea into a multi-million-dollar company. That's our goal, is your success. And so, yeah, hopefully you found some insightful information from this quick hangout. And Bryan, just real quick, so if someone, what states do we service? If someone wants to set up an LLC in one of the 50 states, what do you have to say about that?
Yep. So we have the ability to set up anybody in any of the 50 states, for that matter, and the process is fairly simple. However, there are certain things that you have to understand, the language as well as the requirements of each registration, and so again, make sure you understand what's going on and just don't assume certain things are fact, and that's why it's nice to be able to have a face as you are going through this process so that you can ask questions and really get an understanding of what's going on, because this is you and your business, and you need to know what's going on. And so part of what we'd like to do is, like you said, Bill, we don't just say, hey, good luck, but we say, hey, how can we help you? What areas of concern do you have? Let us walk you through this process and help accelerate that path to get on the right foot out there in the business world, because like everybody knows, business is tough, especially in startup space, and so we want to help people do it right the first time and maximize the opportunity for success.
Awesome. Well said. All right, well, I guess that's going to be all for now. As Bryan said, our passion is your success, and so if there's anything we can do to make your journey to becoming a business owner, to make that smoother, to make it more productive, to help you be successful as you become a business owner, we really want to help. So please reach out and connect with us. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. We'll see you.
Bye, guys. See ya.